Hello, welcome to this video series where I'm going to talk about how I made this Roubo Workbench. Hello and welcome to part 9, which is about the leg vise. But before we go on to the leg vise, we've just got a few holes to drill here. There's 3 holes in this left hand leg for the holdfasts, and this big hole that I'm drilling right now, which is to put your finger in to push up one of the dogs. But we'll come on to that complication a bit later on. Now I'm just pushing the walnut chop through the table saw and then into the thicknesser to take it to final dimensions. Here I'm drilling a 9.5mm lead hole, which will be used later for the third bit, which is an auger bit of the same diameter. But the auger bit has a screw on the front of it, and if I put it in the drill press, it will just drag it straight into the piece of wood and probably break the drill press. So I have to use this second long bit, which clears a path for the screw thread on the end of the auger bit. So now the auger bit's in, I can now go all the way through and it won't get dragged in by the screw thread. So that's what's happening here. This leg is about 136mm wide, or 5 3/8 of an inch, so it's pretty wide. So I had to do exactly the same for the walnut chop. And these holes are actually for a metal bar that goes in, one in the leg and one in the chop for the top of the crisscross mechanism. And this chop is even wider than the leg, so it's about 230mm or 9 inches. So that's why these drill bits have to be so long. However, it wasn't long enough to go through this chop, so I had to drill in from both sides, and marking out had to be extremely accurate. So here I'm drilling big holes in the front of the leg for a mortise or trench, which will house half of the crisscross mechanism when it's being used with the leg vise. You need to make the same kind of trench in the inside face of the chop, so that the crisscross can sit in both slots when the vise is closed. And then the drill bit holes need to be tidied up with a router so we can make a nice rectangular trench or slot. notice I've put a Bessie clamp across the walnut chop here, and I'm using that as a routing stop, so the guide on the side of the router hits it and the router bit won't go back further than I want it to. I just need to clean up the ends with a sharp chisel. And I had a nasty knot in the walnut chop right where I wanted to put the large hole for the Vise screw. So I filled it with epoxy and walnut dust. And it worked out quite well. I didn't quite fill it enough, so you'll see a small piece left which isn't planed off, but actually when I came to finishing the chop at the end of the day, once it had been sanded, it was all flushed off nicely. Here I'm drilling the big hole for the Vise screw. And now I've fitted the Vise screw, and I'm just marking out where the holes are for the flange. And now I'm drilling the holes for the flange screws. Flange screws are screwed into a threaded hole, so you have to use the correct drill bit size for the thread in use. And here I'm just tapping out the holes, and this works actually better than I thought. I'd never tried this before, but actually it works really well. Holds the Vise screw really sturdily. once you've screwed the nut onto the back of the leg, you want to push the thread all the way down with this loosely fitted and draw a line around the bottom, and then move it all the way to the top. Draw a line across the top, then you can centralise vertically the nut. Then it's a question of using a marking gauge and just set it until you get an equal amount on each side, and then you know that the nut is then central across the width. And then you can rotate the nut if it's not in the right place to make sure you've got the holes in where they should be, and then you can obviously find the centres of those holes for these screws for this nut. So that's it really. So once it's in the centre and secured to the back of the leg, the thread should move in and out with the chop nice and smoothly. And now I'm just using a template follower bit in a circle template that I made to cut out for the acetal bushing. So this is a close-up view of the nut. It's now been secured with 3 screws, and you can see how solid it is. This can be recessed into the back of the leg, but to be honest, you're not going to see this. This is going to be in the underside of the bench, so I've just left it. And also, because I've left it surface mounted, I can now, if I ever need to move the position of this, I can unscrew it, I can shift it around a little bit, and that gives me a bit more fine tuning. But that's basically the nut on the back of the leg. On the front of the vise leg we've got the acetal bushing, which has an elongated slot, and it can go up and down. So it keeps the thread fairly secure left to right, but it gives you some adjustment up and down. This is recessed into the front of the leg, like that, and then I need to find the optimum place for this to allow the thread to move in smoothly. So that's basically the acetal bushing. I've yet to find out where that sweet spot is yet, but I'll do that work later. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one, which will be about the base assembly. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you see here and you're new to this channel, please subscribe for more updates as they come available. Otherwise you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter or Pinterest, so that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. See you again.